Good evening all, this is JB and welcome to my first Thomas Retrospective, where we'll analyze the first 5 seasons of Thomas and Friends, also known as the Classic Series, as these were the first and only seasons produced directly by Britt Allcroft and her company, and we'll review and rank them all, one by one. Now, I've been planning to do an overview of the classic seasons for a very long time, but a lot of things I've been wanting to say have already been said by the unlucky Tug in his retrospectives of the first and second seasons of the show. So, if I repeat his words, just know that the comprehension of the beauty of classic Thomas is just a very mutual understanding within the fandom. This channel is also fairly new, and I want to fill it with videos that show off my liking when it comes to film production. So Classic Thomas and its influence on my filmmaking experience is of great importance to me. The older seasons of the show are usually super underlooked by mainstream media. All what it's known by nowadays is just as a dumb kids show with choo-choo trains with smiley faces for goo-goo gaga shit fart babies. When Classic Thomas is talked about, it's portrayed as this authoritarian show, and Sodor, where the series takes place, is a dystopian island where useless engines are punished. This is not the case. Thomas and Friends, in its book basis, is so much more than that, and I'm about to show you why. First, a little history lesson of how the TV program came to be may be necessary for the newcomers watching. All aboard! In the early 1940s, a reverend by the name of Wilbert Awdry wrote some bedtime stories, if you will, about talking trains for his son Christopher, who was sick in bed. The reverend's wife, who was also in love with the stories, encouraged Wilbert to publish his stories after the Second World War ended, which he did. In May of 1945, the adventures of Edward, Gordon, and Henry saw the light of day in their debut book, The 3 Railway Engines, and started a grand series of books for all ages to enjoy. This series would be known as the Railway Series. The books went from lighthearted, simple bedtime stories for children to a darker and grounded approach to railway stories. The series became Wilbert Awdry's homage to railways, and his books started new generations of railway enthusiasts. It was no doubt that anyone could fall in love with his series after reading a single book of his. I mean, a television adaptation of the books would be inevitable, right? Well, in the early 50s, BBC did a live adaptation of The Sad Story of Henry with model trains, which bombed horribly. Awdry was not happy about it at all. Attempts to adapt the Railway series for the next few decades failed. However, in the late 70s, a young Britt Allcroft met Wilbert Awdry during the production of a documentary on the Bluebell Preservation Railway and pitched the idea to make a television adaptation of the Railway series. Sure enough, Awdry finally agreed to the idea, so Allcroft banded with Clearwater Features with TV miniature modelers David Mitten, Steve Asquith, and Robert Cardona as the model supervisors, directors, and producers. She then hired 2 smaller songwriters, Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell, as the music composers, and then persuaded the Beatle himself, Ringo Goddamn Starr, to be the show's narrator. He was at first reluctant to narrate for the show, as he thought kids wouldn't be interested in shows about talking trains, for so many flashier, crazier shows for kids were already relevant and prominent throughout the 80s. But Allcroft did what she does best, and efficiently persuaded the Beatle into narrating a couple of stories. These couple of stories ended up being 2 full seasons, as well as 2 full US revised dubs for those seasons. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Anyway, a pilot for the show was made in 1983, which adapted the story, Down the Mine. The pilot was adored by the head executives, and the show was greenlit for a first season with 26 episodes. And all it cost was for Allcroft to remortgage her house. Very cool. One thing that should be said, which Tug already said in his Season 1 video, is that Season 1 is a very simple, straightforward segment of the series that follows many arcs for each major character introduced. You can finish Season 1 with no intent to continue watching the series, because it's as conclusive as it is already. The books that are adapted in this season are, of course, the first 8 books of the Railway series. These books follow each arc introduced for that character. Each story, or episode, is edited to be only 4 minutes and 30 seconds long. Some of the shorter stories are combined into one episode to keep that 5-minute and 30-second runtime, including the intro and outro, which are both 30 seconds each. So, our episodes this season are from the books of The Three Railway Engines, The First Adventures of the Kind Edward, The Pompous Gordon, and the Conceited but Triumphant Henry. Thomas, the Tank Engine, the story of the cocky hotshot station pilot Thomas and how he earned his branch line. James, the Red Engine, the Sudrian story of the vain James's first days on the railway. Tank Engine Thomas again, the misadventures of Thomas the Tank Engine on his newly earned branch line. Troublesome Engines tells how the big engines are getting around without Thomas shunting their coaches for them. The big engines go on strike from shunting until Percy is purchased as the new shunter. Henry the Green Engine, Henry's victorious comeback story after being sick for quite some time. He's given special coal to make up for his steaming issues and is given a new, stronger shape entirely after a high-speed collision. Toby the Tram Engine, a story outside of the Fat Controller's Railway. Sir Topham Hatt, the superintendent of the railway on Sodor, takes his grandchildren to a quaint tramway where he meets Toby, the only remaining steam tram on that railway. Shortly after Toby's line closes, Sir Topham Hatt purchases Toby, and he is permanently relocated to Thomas's branch line. Gordon the Big Engine tells how Gordon and Thomas put their differences aside after humiliating themselves. Our main characters start out at lows when they're first introduced and are somewhere completely different by the season's end. Thomas and Gordon are both conceited engines who believe no one works as hard as they do. This makes them gang up on each other. By down the mine, they are humbled by their accidents and vow to help each other out. Edward, a much older engine, proves his usefulness and is let out of the shed to work harder, and he is much happier. Henry conquers his firebox defect when he's rebuilt. Now he's one of the strongest engines on the railway. James is a proud asshat until he's humbled by inconveniences, and soon a violent crash. Toby's old line was doomed to close, and Toby's fate would soon be scrap if he wasn't purchased by Sir Topham Hatt. And we'll get more into Percy when we dive into Season 2, but for now, we must talk about what makes Season 1 so great with visuals. If you didn't catch on, Thomas and Friends is filmed with model trains on miniature sets, which fit in a studio no bigger than your average garage. The trains have different clay mold faces for each expression that fit over their smoke box, covering their eye mechanisms. Yes, you heard me right. Eye mechanisms. The engines have remote-controlled eyes to portray further movement from our characters so that they're not always staring into space, or into our souls. The humans are wooden figurines that also have different faces, as well as semi-posable limbs. You think that everything would still look toy-like, but that's not the case. The sets are designed to give the illusion that Sodor is in fact a real place. If you look closely, you can catch the tiniest details that make the scene look like real footage, like tire skid marks in the snow or leaves and flowers scattered about in an exact pattern. The low angles make the engine seem bigger than just models. Other than the footage seeming real, it also feels like the shots are just straight up moving illustrations from children's books. The camera is usually very still, and the placement of the camera, where you can see all the minute details and grand and powerful engines working about, helps this claim out very well. All in all, visuals are stunning and splendid, and the public must have thought the same because the show was a hit. Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends would be greenlit for a second season. But before we go there, I would like to give an honorable mention to the season's finest episode, The Flying Kipper, a true spectacle of the whole show. Henry pulls a non-stop fish special to the mainland at dawn when ice and snow jam the points and divert him into a siding where he crashes into an idling goods train. He's sent to crew to be mended and returns to Sodor the next spring in his brand new shape. Henry emerges a stronger engine. As simple as the plot is, the visuals in this episode are everything. Watching as Henry treks through the main line on a snowy early dawn, passing through gorgeous island scenery, is eye candy. And that total silence after the crash is jaw-dropping.
Come on, fireman, back to our engine. They got out just in time.
This was the first on-screen crash of the show, and my god, did Mitten nail the seriousness of it. After the hit that was the first season of Thomas and Friends, Season 2 was to expand on everything exquisitely like a good, delicious, juicy sequel. The production of the show moved to Shepperton Studios in London, where a bigger studio waited the crew. This is where the rest of the classic series would be filmed, a greater space for greater pictures. The season took the characters and tones given to us in Season 1 and expanded on them greatly. The characters and stories now have greater depth, and it's all derived from the following Railway series books. Edward, the Blue Engine. A look at Edward's branch line, the viewers have their first encounter with multiple themes of the season. Scrap, and Edward's age. One thing's for sure, despite Edward's age, he'll always come out on top. Percy, the Small Engine. The further misadventures of the big station's pilot, Percy, as he's relocated to Thomas's branch line permanently. Duck takes over as the new pilot. 8 famous engines. Only one story was able to be adapted to TV for this season. More on that in a minute. Duck and the Diesel Engine. Another great theme introduced in this season would be the appearance of diesel engines. Duck is face to face with a visiting diesel, and let's just say they don't get along too well. The Twin Engines, the dark story of stowaway engines as they try to escape dieselization in the mainland in order to avoid being scrapped. One of the twins was in fact ordered by Sir Topham Hatt. The other was to be sent away. Which one would this be? We'll soon find out. Branch line engines. After Thomas pulls something drastic, a diesel rail car by the name of Daisy is to substitute for him on his branch line while he's being repaired. Mainline engines. Another adventure on Edward's branch line. We meet Bill and Ben, who work at the Clayworks, as well as a well-mannered diesel named Boko. Edward also proves his worth to the snooty mainline engines. Tramway engines. A final escapade on Thomas's branch line. We watch as Thomas and Percy try to one-up on each other. More about Thomas the Tank Engine. These stories are scattered throughout the season to make up for the lack of Thomas-centric episodes. Wilbert Awdry had retired from writing in 1972, and his son, Christopher Awdry, took over a decade later. Every episode had to be made based on pre-existing Railway series stories, and Christopher delivered just in time to help out with the Thomas drought. Plus, we also have 2 miscellaneous stories by Christopher Awdry. Season 2 is a more industrial, grimy season. It feels like a real railway setting instead of animated children's illustrations. The camera moves about more too, and we get to see different camera angles and movements instead of everything being stagnant. The set seemed bigger at that, which is most likely due to moving to Shepperton Studios. Back onto the grimy feeling, the train yards and harbors and other industrial locations scream real world to the audience. It complements the overall tone of the season. This is no longer a fantasy land, but a real island, with a real railway, with real problems. The characters are introduced to scrap and dieselization, which remain huge elements of the show's story for the rest of the series. Our first confrontation with the Diesel isn't pretty. Duck meets Diesel. Diesel claims his kind is revolutionary. Duck tricks Diesel. Diesel gets back at Duck. The mainline engines shun Duck. Duck is sent to Wellsworth until the drama blows over. Trucks break away from the hill and run after Duck. Duck smashes into a barber shop. Diesel is found away and sent back to the mainland, and Duck is welcomed back to the big station with open arms. This part of the series takes place in the late 50s, early 60s, the time of dieselization on the British railways. This basically meant the Holocaust for steam engines to make way for diesel power. With that being said, in the next arc, a steam engine is bought from Scotland to help around the big yard. The problem with that is, 2 engines arrived, and they're twins. And they've lost their numbers. The reason they're both here is that because if one of them stayed, well, he'd be scrapped because, you know. The twins try to prove their usefulness on the railway, but they keep fucking up. After the twins prove their might in the snow, Sir Topham Hatt purchases them both. Later, on Thomas's branch line, Thomas does something moronic and is sent away to be mended. Daisy, the diesel rail car, takes his place for the time being and is shown as being quite lazy and quite vain. She dreads pulling trucks, which gets Percy into an awkward predicament after Daisy refuses to pull some tankers. Thomas returns, Daisy promises to be good, and Sir Topham Hatt keeps her. Daisy is the second diesel we encounter in the show, and she falls right in between bad and good. She is lazy and complacent, but is wanting to change by the arc's end. Then our final diesel encounter comes along in the Diesel. After we meet a couple of knucklehead saddle tank engines called Bill and Ben, they go to the Wellsworth Yard to find their trucks after they've vanished. That's where they meet Boko. He seems a brute here, but after Bill and Ben pull their prank, Boko's true colors are revealed. He wouldn't hurt a fly. At this moment, Boko has figured the twins out thanks to Edward. In the following episode, Wrong Road, Boko shoos Bill and Ben away from Gordon after they threaten to murder him.
No, Bill, this lot's useless for scrap. We'll take it to the harbour and dump it in the sea. Gordon was along.
Boko shows that not all diesels are bad. He's our first good guy diesel. Very dark and gritty tones for a dark and gritty feeling season setting. Everything in Season 2 continues Season 1's story. Everything and everyone is in greater depth. Truly a masterpiece. Oh, I also said during the Season 1 overview that I'd return to Percy, so here we are. Percy is shown to be as cheeky, if not even cheekier than Thomas himself. He really gets the best of the mainline engines. The mainline engines usually strike back with tricks of their own and take advantage of Percy, showing his naive and gullible side. He's put through these trials as a station pilot before Duck takes his place, and Percy is permanently sent to work on Thomas's branch line. While Percy teaches Duck the station's basics, Duck influences Percy to defy the big engine's orders and snootiness. That's also Duck for you. He's a very prideful Great Western engine who doesn't go down without a fight against the more arrogant engines. My honorable mention for this season just has to be... oh no, it's a three-way deadlock. The entire Duck and Diesel trilogy. It has grime, grit, diesels, deceit, and action. The Season 2 special. As I've said that not all diesels are bad, not all steamers are very good either. Yep, in this arc, Duck is just as bad as Diesel. Diesel doesn't even do anything wrong in the first story. Hell, he flatters the big engines. It's when he starts gloating about his class when Duck draws the line and tricks Diesel into trying to move older trucks. Diesel then gossips about Duck, which turns the mainline engines in favor of Diesel. Duck is kicked out of Tidmouth Sheds and dwells at Wellsworth with Edward for a while. After helping Edward up the hill with his trucks, the trucks break loose and chase Duck down the main line. The runaway barely misses James's passenger train and they crash into a barber shop. Diesel is found out and sent away, as Duck is rewarded for preventing a worse accident. One last thing about Season 2 I would like to talk about are the cancelled episodes of the season. As I said on the episode list, some of the Railway series stories could not be adapted because of the production team's lack of certain modeling experience and their tight budget. Percy's Promise from the book of Percy the Small Engine could not be adapted until the crew found out how to submerge their models into water without damaging them, which wasn't until the production of Season 3. The books of the Skarloey Railway, Four Little Engines, Old Little Engine, Gallant Old Engine, etc. couldn't be adapted yet because the modeling crew had yet to figure out how to model narrow gauge. Two stories from 8 famous engines, Gordon Goes Foreign and Doubleheader, were considered for adaptations, but due to budget restraints, these episodes would not come to be until the next season. Domeless Engines 2 was thought of, but wasn't adapted until Season 3 for the same reason as the prior 2 stories. The missing coach from the book of The Twin Engines was actually filmed, but was held back from airing by Allcroft because she thought that the episode's plot was too confusing for younger audiences. All that remains of the episode is random promo photos and certain recycled B-roll shots. Most of the cancelled episodes were replaced with Thomas-driven stories, since the season was lacking on Thomas-centric episodes already. So the just recently released book around the time of Season 2's production, more about Thomas the Tank Engine, as well as a few one-offs written by Christopher Audrey were adapted for the season. Season 2 was also a hit thanks especially to home video releases, and Thomas & Friends was soon to go worldwide. A little before that, in 1989, directors David Mitton and Robert Cardona, as well as a handful of other Clearwater Features crew members, banded together to make another show with models, model boats. The show went on to be known as Tugs. The first season only had 13 episodes before being cancelled after Clearwater Features went bankrupt. I recommend that you watch the Unlucky Tugs retrospective on that show. Britt Allcroft and her newly independent company also tried to sue Minton and Cardona for implementing too much from Thomas & Friends into his own show. This lawsuit failed, and Allcroft quickly rehired Minton and a few others. Cardona and his team went to Canada to work on Theodore Tugboat. The production of Tugs actually gave the reunited modeling crew plenty of experience with modeling with water, and the Allcroft company purchased some of the disused props from Tugs as background boats and cranes for the harbors and docks for the next few Thomas seasons to come. In 1990, in America, Thomas & Friends was finally getting the US publicity it was hoping for in a half live-action, half-model series TV show called Shining Time Station. The show would follow the antics of a main cast of children as they learn lessons from the main adults who live in a quaint railroad town, and even from a tiny man called Mr. Conductor, who was played by Ringo Starr himself. Episodes from the first 2 seasons of Thomas & Friends would be played throughout certain intervals of the Shining Time episodes that related to the episode's tone and/or message. This is where Starr did a redub of the first 2 seasons of Thomas & Friends for the US, because, the regional dialect and different terminologies. Sometime after the first season of Shining Time Station, Starr resigned from being narrator of the show to pursue his next music gig. American comedian George Carlin took over as the narrator of the US dub for the next 2 seasons, as well as for the redub of the first 2 seasons. And niche English actor Michael Angelis took the role as the UK narrator for the next, 20 years of the show's run. Later that year, production on Season 3 began. Most stories adapted were from the troublesome books that could not be adapted beforehand. Percy and the Trousers from the book of Henry the Green Engine. Leaves from the book of Gordon the Big Engine. Percy's Promise from the book of Percy the Small Engine. Doubleheader and a bit from Gordon Goes Foreign from the book of 8 Famous Engines. Domeless Engines from the book of Duck in the Diesel Engine. Buzz Buzz from the book of Mainline Engines. Donald's Duck from the book of Small Railway Engines. Tenders for Henry, Escape, and Little Western from the book of Enterprising Engines. Resource and Sagacity and Bulgy from the book of Oliver the Western Engine. Mavis and Toby's Tightrope from the book of Tramway Engines. This season actually broke the rules for stories to be adapted. Formerly, the show was forbidden to adapt stories that weren't for the Railway series, with a few exceptions. But in this season, original, non-Audrey stories were written by a man named Andrew Brenner for the Thomas the Tank Engine annuals were televised. These included Thomas Gets Bumped, Thomas, Percy, and the Dragon, Diesel Does It Again, Henry's Forest, No Joke for James, Thomas, Percy, and the Mail Train, Bertie's Bumpy Road, Edward, Trevor, and the Really Useful Party, All at Sea, One Good Turn, Heroes, Percy, James, and the Fruitful Day, Thomas and Percy's Christmas Adventure. A very diverse selection of episodes for the season, Season 3 was quite the experimental season. It was adventurous in its stories, its settings, its new modeling techniques, and its rule-breaking. To me, Season 3 resembles a mix of Seasons 1 and 2. They both consist of beautiful sets of lush spring greenery and crisp orange autumn leaves, as well as grimier, more industrial locations with lots of oil scuff and coal dust weathering the place. And who could forget the new coastal branch line sets with their rich sandy mesh walls? There are both simpler stories and realer stories, darker tones and more slice-of-life tones. It keeps the laid-back themes of Season 1 while reinforcing the more serious themes introduced in Season 2. Scrap is an even bigger dread in this season. Gordon is given a blunt newsflash from a familiar face that his siblings are kicking the bucket in the mainland to make way for Diesels. Douglas finds an engine named Oliver, who's escaping from the British Railway's holocaust of steamers. He's taken to Sodor and welcomed by Sir Topham Hatt with open arms. It takes Oliver a minute to prove his usefulness on Duck's new branch line, but he pulls through in the end. Even the non-railway vehicles get a front seat. Thomas finds out he can trust Bertie, and Thomas gets bumped, as Bertie finds out he can trust Thomas, and trusts Thomas. Terence and Trevor plant new trees for the forest Henry loves so dearly, after it's devastated following a big storm. Percy and Harold learn to get along through their continuing rivalry. Duck also learns from Harold that he's better off living happily on his rails. We see Bertie snootily interact with the older Trevor, only to watch and see him get stuck in the mud. He's pulled out by Terence, and Bertie and Trevor make amends. We have our first villainous road vehicle, Bulgy. He's a double-decker bus who lies to passengers about being a railway station transit. He's found out by Duck and Oliver after getting stuck under a low-hanging bridge. He's taken off the road and converted into a henhouse. The season's expansion on characters from the seasons prior, as well as the newer characters and locations new and old, give me plenty of reasons to say that Season 3 makes a terrific sequel to the previous sequels. We learn more about Douglas and his experience with escaping scrap with Donald. He then ends up helping a scrap engine escape the shifty diesel exchange yard. We learn about Duck on his new branch line and how close he is to the sea. Gordon has no choice but to accept the fate of his L&ER brothers. We get to see the tender, nature-loving side of Henry as we watch him bask in the beauty of the forest on the main line. He is depressed when a storm damages most of the forest. Diesel also returns, and is sent away, and returns, and stays, and becomes a mainstay antagonist for the rest of the series. My choice of the season's honorable mention would be All at Sea. Yes, I know what you're thinking. What about Escape? Yes, I love Escape too. It was my second choice, but I don't think it quite captures the magic that's omitted from Season 3. Escape has the grime, grit, adventure, and character building that all can enjoy, but I don't think I would consider the episode a representation of Season 3. All at Sea lacks dark themes, but it has this super sweet message about appreciating your normal life. Duck and Percy are working at Knapford Harbor during a regatta. During this time, Duck falls in love with the sea and dreams of becoming a boat to sail off into the blue unknown. Percy reproaches Duck for this idea that he thinks is daft. One day at the regatta, a man gets injured and is flown from his boat to the harbor yard by Harold. Duck races the injured man to Bertie, who takes him to the hospital. That evening, a letter to Duck from the man he helped is dropped down to the yard by Harold. The letter compliments Duck's swiftness on the rails and praises the railway. Duck then comes to appreciate his life on the railway. The episode ends with this gorgeous shot, which has to be one of the best icons of the whole show, as this beautiful, swelling orchestral riff concludes the episode. This episode perfects everything that is Season 3, from the brilliant waters based off of the modeling experience from Tugs, the sumptuously colorful regatta boats, and the bustling B-roll of Percy and Duck shunting around the harbor yard as the magical harbor theme plays. The night shots, man, they're oh so great. Who could forget that Duck chase sequence, too? As Harold takes off and Duck races to Bertie through the crowded pier, Harold's theme starts with this empowering brass ensemble. That motif simmers down as Duck's chase theme dominates the score. God almighty, what a terrific soundtrack for such an amazing episode. Speaking of soundtracks, Season 3 had our first music video of the show, Thomas's Anthem. This jolly march variant of Thomas's theme was enough to make a grand entrance of the many tunes of Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell to come for the show. I may be making it seem as if this season is considered a holy grail by fans. Well, it is for most, but it wasn't for the Reverend Wilbert Audrey. Remember how I said Season 3 broke the rules for the rest of the show to come? Well, the Reverend wasn't exactly pleased with this. He hated how loose the adaptations of his stories were, and he criticized Thomas's prominent presence. I might have to add that Thomas wasn't the main character of the Railway series. No one ever was. It was an ensemble character collection. Having Thomas in locations that wasn't his branch line made everything appear quite unrealistic. It's a shame to see how Wilbert's vision of his world started to fade after Allcroft and her company started taking more independent roles for the production. More on that in a moment. Sometime after the production of Season 3, Thomas was making its debut in Japan. The show's team shot exclusive footage on the set of Season 3 for the premiere of the show in Japan. The Japanese airings played out sort of like how the US aired the show with Shining Time Station. Strange creatures and quirky characters learning lessons and morals through classic Thomas episodes from the prior 3 seasons. What differentiated the Japanese dubs from the other dubs around the world was the use of voice actors. There was a narrator, but also a voice cast for the main cast. The Japanese publication of the show was, in short terms, a big milestone. It started a grand economic boom for the franchise thanks to merchandise and home video releases. It did just as well as it did in the US. This is the end of part 1. You're hearing this because I have plenty of film portfolio projects that need to be edited, as this video was taking way too much space and memory on my puny MacBook Pro or whatever this thing is. So I'm gonna upload this and see how it does, work on my originals, and if this does well, I'll make a part 2. Well, I was gonna make a part 2 anyways, so a few of you may be taking clips and screenshots of this video and posting them on Twitter, ranting about how people are plagiarizing the Unlucky Tug. Well, you are wrong, while also being right. People are kind of blowing the tug dependence argument way out of proportion. Any simpleton can look at Reginald Dalby's illustrations and then watch Season 1 of Thomas and Friends and think, kinda look like a children's illustration. It's like moving picture from a Railway series book. Or go, the character arcs are just like those in the Railway series because it's a mostly faithful adaptation. And then they'd see the more industrial approach to Season 2 as a contrast to Season 1, and then they'd think, very different from Season 1. I mean, I thought of that sort of shit when I was 7. It ain't a Tug exclusive observation, so just let me the fuck be. And I'll see you next time. Bye! Hello everyone, JB here, and not long ago, I made a part 1 to a classic Thomas and Friends retrospective. That video's link is in the description and or pinned comment of this video. You should probably watch it. Probably. No need for an introduction, that's in part 1, the video that you should probably watch for an introduction if you haven't already. Yeah, let's just get to it. Thomas and Friends was receiving worldwide praise, mostly due to home video releases, after Angus Wright took over as the producer of the Britt Allcroft Company. He planned for the next 2 seasons of the show to be direct-to-video releases. The success of the show had also brought in a lot of money for more characters and props. Narrow-gauge modeling was now possible, and now, the production team could adapt books from the Railway series that they couldn't before. These would include 4 Little Engines. Our first look at the old little engines on the Skarloey Railway. We see how Sir Handel and Peter Sam first adapt to the line after arriving to substitute for the worn-out Skarloey when he's to be kept in his shed. Little Old Engine. After Skarloey is finally sent to the works, we get to see how the responsible Rusty and the reckless Duncan have been managing the railway, with the stubborn Sir Handel and the eager Peter Sam, while the 2 lead engines are away. When Skarloey arrives home to his well-maintained rails, the narrow-gauge engines are ecstatic. Gallant Old Engine. The further misadventures of Peter Sam and his funnel, Sir Handel and a rude steamroller, and Duncan and his Defiance. Rheneas, Skarloey's closest, oldest friend, returns from the works, and we learn his story. Stepney, the Bluebell Engine. Returning to the Fat Controllers Railway, a visiting engine from the Bluebell Railway, known as Stepney, is put through quite the humorous hijinks on Thomas's branch line. Duke, the Lost Engine. Tells the tales from long ago about Duke, Stuart, and Falcon on their doomed mid-Sodor Railway. Really Useful Engines. Some more slice-of-life stories by Christopher Audrey about Thomas, Percy, and Duck. In this season, stray unadapted stories from previously adapted Railway series books were finally returned to. These included Henry and the Elephant from the book of Troublesome Engines, Paint Bots and Queens from the book of Gordon the Big Engine, Sir Topham Hatt's Engines from the book of 8 Famous Engines, Bullseyes from the book of Branchline Engines, Toad Stands By from the book of Oliver the Western Engine, and even a combination of stories from one of Christopher Awdry's books, Toby Seaside Holiday and Bulstrode from the book of Toby Trucks in Trouble. Season 4 is a universal fan favorite, most notably for its cozy atmosphere and exquisitely articulate in-detail sets. It seems each season after the move to Shepperton Studios, the stakes for the production sets grew greater and greater. The camera goes from snug positions behind trees and in between lush bushes to bigger and more open places, like the 2 viaducts, the incline, and the mountainous background sets. The production crew was not messing around with the narrow gauge. They played their game very seriously. Even on the Fat Controllers Railway, plenty is happening. 2 episodes packed proudly with grandeur air this season. They air back-to-back as well. They really made it feel like the entire classic series was leading up to this very moment with these 2 episodes. But before those episodes, a whole arc with Stepney the Bluebell engine himself, a very real engine by the way, occurs when he comes to visit the railway and to help on Thomas's branch line. I'm not particularly a fan of how Allcroft brought Stepney into the series. He was rescued by Rusty from the diesel exchange yards in Vickerstown and then brought to the Bluebell branch line in Normanby, instead of being exactly how he is in real life and in the railway series as a visitor from the actual Bluebell Preservation Railway in Sussex, England. I guess this creative decision was made by Allcroft to keep Stepney on the island as a mainstay character and not just as a one-off. He is one of the most adorable characters in the show, after all. One time, Allcroft herself forgot that Stepney was a real engine, I guess, and fucking decided to sue the Bluebell Railway for stealing her OC. Well. Of course I would be labeled a miscreant should I not look into the true stars of the season, the Skarloey Railway engines. These guys, this place, they helped so damn much with the show's world building. The franchise would not be loved nearly as much if it was not for the Skarloey Railway. The Skarloey Railway is a narrow gauge line located in the heart of Sodor. In the TV series lore, this old railway with the island's oldest engines, Skarloey and Rheneas, worked beside the near-bankrupt Mid-Sodor Railway. After the mines on the Mid-Sodor line started drying up, that railway was doomed to close, and after the Fat Controllers Railway passenger business boomed, the Skarloey was put on its last legs, and their line too was running low on money. After Skarloey lost all his strength over the past few decades and couldn't be repaired due to the railway's financial crisis, Rheneas, the gallant old engine, took over with all the work and broke down. He helped save the Skarloey Railway, but he would be indisposed for a while. Stewart and Falcon, from the now-closed Mid-Sodor, were sold to the Skarloey to help out on the now-prospering narrow gauge. Their names were changed to Sir Handel and Peter Sam. Skarloey breaks down after being in the shed for years and years, gets sent to the works, Rusty and Duncan are sent to help the line, and it all unfolds from there, up until when Skarloey and Rheneas are reunited at last. Peter Sam and Sir Handel have a reunion as well with their old father figure from the Mid-Sodor, Duke. A very eventful season indeed. Before I galvan off with the season's honorable mention, I would like to take a minute to give the Skarloeys the spotlight they very damn well deserve. They make a very cracking fleet of engines indeed. They all are so adorable and have so much character. I might even be stepping out of line when I say that I think they have more character than some of the Fat Controllers engines. The grumpier, misguided guys like Duncan and Sir Handel seem simple enough, but when someone sets them off, boy are they fun. See Steamroller when Skarloey tries to shut up Sir Handel by egging him on against George the Steamroller. Sir Handel and George are super arrogant and they pompously clash with each other quite humorously. One day, at a construction site, when Sir Handel tries overtaking George, George sideswipes Sir Handel's trucks and the two crash. See Rock and Roll when Duncan is blatantly cruel towards Rusty, the maintenance diesel, for being, well, a diesel. His tangent is fueled by James when he falsely gloats about sending the devious diesel from Season 2 away after he was found out. Duncan soon gets his just desserts when he idiotically bumbles over the worn-out line and derails. He's put in his place when he's placed back on the rails and apologizes to Rusty for being reckless after Rusty warned him about the funky bits of line. Speaking of rusty, this fella's a sweet treat. They tend to the worn-out rails on the Skarloey and try their best to mend them to their former glory. They're shown as a responsible and hard worker, and is best paired up with Skarloey, the good-humored sage of the narrow gauge. Skarloey is a charming old little engine, the oldest working engine on the island in fact, who just doesn't age. He has plenty of valuable wisdom to spare and isn't afraid to joke around and show his contained youthful side. Rheneas, Skarloey's closest, oldest friend, unfortunately never got too much spotlight in the classic series, but I do love him so. He's a brave, tough, and witty engine who doesn't shy away from a good joke, just like his friend. He'll put himself through the most tearing pains to save what he loves, and that's what makes him so great. Peter Sam is contagiously cheerful. He's an eager saddle tank engine who just loves to work. He always tries hard to get in a good day's work and to be considered really useful. A people pleaser even. Even the snooty coaches and troublesome trucks like him. However, when you're this serious with your work, you can get excitable and impatient. And, well, Peter Sam did. See, You Can't Win, Peter Sam and the Refreshment Lady, or Trucks. That would never suit his grace, cried out a voice. It's Duke. Who would you guys take me for if I didn't talk about Duke the Lost Engine? Affectionately known as Grandpuff by Stewart and Falcon, or Peter Sam and Sir Handel. Grandpuff is just a grandpa. A grumpy at times old man who aspires to lead the young ones to gracefulness. I'd say the honorable mention for this season would have to go to Grandpuff, the first episode of the season. Though I do not like the episode order Wright went with for the season, more on that in the overview segment, I do believe that Grandpuff makes a very compelling introduction to the overall tone of the season. It's cozy, gorgeous, narrow gauge full, and has lovely world building, while having its fair share of fucked up themes and depressing, desolate atmosphere. The episode starts off with Thomas telling a story to the Tidmouth Shed dwellers about the old tales of the Mid-Sodor Railway that his driver told him about. We hear about Duke, Stewart, and Falcon and their old line, and how their daily lives were. One day, after joking about Duke's perseverance, Stewart and Falcon are told the story of Smudger, who kept stupidly bouncing right off the rails. He was a rough rider who wouldn't listen. Soon, his cowboy days were over when the manager of the Mid-Sodor converted him into a generator behind the sheds. Yep, everyone worked much harder after that until the mines in the hills closed and the Mid-Sodor ran out of money. Stewart and Falcon were sold off to the Skarloey, in the TV series lore that is, but no one was interested in buying the older Duke. He was put in his shed and sheeted until a seller purchased him, but the day never came. Over time, Duke is buried the fuck alive. And, Thomas ends the story here. Yep. But he continues in the next episode where, Duke is found and restored and brought to the Skarloey. There are some other visually spectacular episodes in this season, like Special Funnel and Fish, which the Unlucky Tug dissected quite well in the following videos. Links in the description. But as I said, Grandpuff is the embodiment of all things Season 4, and no one can change my mind about that. One last thing I would like to talk about is the music of the season. More music videos by Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell were made this season, after Season 3's Thomas's Anthem. These would include
rushing to and fro. He's the prettiest little engine we adore. All roll together, all join hands, all friends together forever. Sometimes it's so hard remembering all those circles, consuls, all the stipulations, rules and regulations now.
Besides the songs, the soundtrack itself is superb, and I believe seasons 3 through 5 is the peak of the music for the whole show. The first 2 seasons of the show have these 80s synth beats and instruments that make up each character's theme. Oh yeah, did I mention each character has a distinctive theme that matches his or her personality? Yeah. By season 3, O'Donnell and Campbell took a different turn with the soundtrack. They started making the scores sound more like an orchestration than anything else, and my did they do a smashing job. Season 4 has some of the greatest themes in the show. There's of course the Skarloey Railway theme. The absolutely blissful themes of Rusty and Stepney. And in common with Season 3, there's the Night Train theme. The Duck Chase theme. And etc., etc., etc. Season 4 is indeed a trophy of Thomas and Friends, and with booms of home video releases and merchandise wins, the public must have agreed there. On March 21st, 1997, the Reverend Wilbert Audrey had passed away peacefully in his sleep in his warm home. With the creator of the Railway series deceased, a reverent measure was issued to respect Wilbert. No more Railway series stories would be adapted to the TV series. And on this note, Allcroft got out the big guns. She proposed a Thomas movie to come out after the 5th season. To prepare the public for Thomas's upcoming cinematic adventure, Allcroft had Mitten and the modeling crew demonstrate their prowess in show miniatures and great modeling skills by portraying the grubbiest an engine could get, and by depicting the most mind-boggling crashes and disasters. After Carlin had left his role as the U.S. narrator, famous American actor Alec Goddamn Baldwin took over as the new American dub narrator for the 5th and 6th seasons. He would also play a main role in the 2000 Thomas theatrical film mentioned before. By what you're hearing, this next season seems like quite the spectacle. Boy, just you wait and see. With the Railway series now out of question, it was up to Allcroft and Mitten to write stories full to the brim with world-building galore and grand narratives as a means of hype, if you will, for Thomas's first theatrical film. These stories include Cranky Bugs, Horrid Lori, A Better View for Gordon, Lady Hat's Birthday Party, James and the Trouble with the Trees, Gordon and the Gremlin. Bye, George. Bah. Put Upon Percy, Toby and the Flood, Haunted Henry, Double Teething Troubles, Stepney Gets Lost, Toby's Discovery, Something in the Air, Thomas, Percy, and Old Slow Coach, Thomas and the Rumors, Oliver's Find, Happy Ever After. Sir Topham Hatt's holiday. A big surprise for Percy. Make someone happy. Busy going backwards. Duncan gets spooked. Rusty and the Boulder. More like Rusty and the Boner. Snow. I'm sure you can tell by the titles and thumbnails alone, Season 5 offers a great variety of themes and settings to indulge in. Well, you're not wrong one bit. Plenty characters come in, and while they're exciting and interesting for a while, we never see them again. Except for this guy. This, kinda started the, create a cool-looking character for merchandising, only then to never show him or her again trend, which acted as, like, a staple of the shittier hit eras. So with a new creative lead, and with a big and rather risky movie upcoming, let me go ahead and tell you that movie bombed because it was shit from a butt. As much as I personally adore the season, as well as many others, this was kinda the start of the show's downfall. But as I keep saying, and I'll say it time and time again, I freaking love this season, and I'll tell you why this season is an absolute banger. The aesthetic. Aesthetic, aesthetic, aesthetic. The old characters. Old characters, old characters, old characters. The stories. Stories, stories, stories. The music. Music, music, music. Firstly, the aesthetic. Season 5 certainly has a way with colors, and mixed with the modeling crew's top-notch modeling techniques used this season, the overall look of everything is so pleasant to look at. I wouldn't say the sets are as good as Season 4's, but damn, the production team made everything look super pretty. Even the more industrial places omit these very warm colors which give off a cozy vibe. Season 4 was cozy in its own way, specifically with the Skarloey railway sets, but in my opinion I think I would hold Season 4 in even higher regard if the editors fixed the color grading for the season. Season 4 has a lot of yellows, and it makes everything look either like it all takes place in the evening, or like all the models were pissed on briefly before filming. Season 5 is by far the prettiest of the classic series, and maybe the entire model series, and no one can tell me otherwise. Even with the gross, stormy skylines, everything looks ultra sharp. The saturation and hues of the engines and vegetation really make everything pop out. A truly splendid sight. Allcroft and Mitten absolutely nailed the old characters. Everyone acts exactly how they're portrayed in the Railway series, with an Allcroft twist. This twist would be the slight maturity of certain characters over the past few seasons since their debut. This would include Thomas. To me, this was Thomas at his peak. While he still has his wise-cracking energy and cheek, he also has wised up a lot. He looks out for the other engines no matter how they've treated him. He and Percy prop Cranky back into place after a storm at the docks pushes him down, even though he was being a dickhead to them both. He rushes a very grubby Sir Topham Hatt to Kirk Ronan Station, after Topham's been through hell just to get to his wife's birthday party. He pulls James and his train away from a falling tree even though James was being a proud asshat as always. He takes Henry to get mended after he fell into the water, even though Henry called him a danger on the rails and ignored his warning. He and Percy save an old coach from being scrapped by converting her into a hut for the firemen after their station burns down. Thomas and Percy extinguish that fire too with the water within their tanks. Thomas also agrees to be the something blue of Mrs. Kindly's daughter's good luck package. Percy is also as naive and runt-like as always, as shown clearly in these hilarious lines from Gordon and the Gremlin.
"Yes, sir," they all said. "As long as the gremlins let us." "What gremlins?" "The ones in Gordon's fire, sir. That's why he's not ready yet." "I'll see about that," thundered Sir Topham Hatt. And he did. "What's the matter, Gordon? You're late." "Driver says there's gremlins in the turntable," replied Gordon. "They must be everywhere," squeaked Percy.
But he has a very distinct feisty and sassy side now, too.
"All right, then, Arsdale End. That's my home," replied Toby. "That's why I like it, especially when you're there and not here saying I'm silly. Good night."
On top of this, Percy is probably the MVP of the season. He's put through the biggest trials in the season but comes out on top. Already feeling down from working his paint job, a whole mine pretty much collapses on him and Percy's buried alive. But he's not down. A flood sweeps Toby away and Percy makes it before a waterfall just in time to mightily pull Toby back to safety. He's still not down. When Mrs. Kindly is troubled after she can't find a good luck package for her daughter's wedding, Percy takes it upon himself to spend the day assembling a good luck package as well as carrying out his day's work. When he arrives at the wedding with the package, he is given a juicy smooch right on the cheek. Right on the cheek, he's given a juicy smooch. Sonic 06, juicy smooch, human smooches, hedgehog, human smooches, engine. When Percy's trucks break away from his front and roll down the hill and down the branch line, he and a band of workmen stop the trucks just before they cascade down another hill and into the town. The mainline engines are very entertaining in this season. Watching Gordon complain about the view at the new station before ramming his head through the wall at the climax is totally bizarre and I'm all for it. Hearing James rag on the others about his knowledge on tree trouble before getting squashed like a bug by a falling tree is priceless. He also gets trolled and fucked by the trucks.
Your color's nice, James. Pity about your face, though, said a freight car.
Shitting your pants with Henry as he freaks out about a haunted branch line, even though he brushes off Edward's ghoulish warnings about the fog, will make for an episode to remember. Especially after he gets trolled and fucked by the trucks and the trucks shit their pants with Henry as they soar down the foggy line and drop down into an abyss and fucking die. This will always be so dope. I also like when the three thought that they were being replaced by Harold of all things. They humorously mope about doing their jobs and it leads up to Gordon trying to show off his speed, and he explodes in a tunnel undergoing reconstruction. People like to rag on this season's interpretation of Toby for being too scared, but seeing most of the shit that happens to Toby in this season, I would be shivering in my tempers too if I almost plunged off a waterfall and drowned, or if I had to be the night watch in an old abandoned mine and I heard some supernatural shit going on. I think Toby's a badass in this season. You know who else is a badass in this season? Scar Lowy. It's said that he'll take Duncan's favorite place in the shed just to fuck with him. He also escapes a giant-ass Indiana Jones boulder through a narrow gorge. On top of that, he and his crew are buried alive by an avalanche after some slate trucks break away from the incline. Rusty is uber cool too. They tell a story about an old little engine who long ago fell off the old iron bridge and, died. This gets to Duncan and he shits his pants. They also fret over a boulder watching over the quarry site. When a drilling machine starts carving into his side of the mountain, Boulder falls onto the line and chases after Rusty. Rusty also recalls to Thomas about the time they and their crew rescued Scar Lowy and his crew from the avalanche mentioned before. Stepney returns too, and almost dies. Sir Topham Hatt has a few episodes focused on him and his family too. Lady Hatt throws her birthday party at the new station, and Sir Topham Hatt is put through all the stops to make her wife happy. He tries not to spoil his new suit, but time and time again, when his plans to get to the party without a scratch fail, he just rolls with the punches. He gets covered in shit, soot, and ash, but arrives safely to his wife's birthday party and is welcomed with open arms. Sir Topham Hatt takes his family for a quick getaway to the skies and to the river. Watching Topham get flustered over Tiger Moth, the daredevil biplane, and getting annoyed when the canal boat gets stuck in the mud will always be humorous. Before we move on, I would like to talk about the new characters too. 12 characters are introduced this season. Cranky, Lorries 1, 2, and 3. Dowager Hat, Derek, Iron Airy, and Iron Bert. Bertram, Old Slow Coach, Tiger Moth, and Thumper. And out of these 12, only 4 remain in the show after this season. Those being Cranky the Crane at Brenham Docks. It's because of this guy's stupid ass that Brenham became the main port on the island. Dowager Hat, Sir Topham Hatt's ma. And Iron Airy and Bert, the murdering twin diesel shunters at the ironworks. We see Tiger Moth and Derek as cameos later on in the show, but who gives a shit? The lorries come, get fucking obliterated, and leave. Bertram is a Duke color with a different face who has maybe 6 seconds of screen time in total with no dialogue. Old Slow Coach was a sweet one. She was in 2 episodes of Season 5 and helped Thomas and Percy out a great deal. It's a shame we never see her again. Thumper, is brought in on a flatbed by Edward, and he goes on about how Thumper works as if he's of great importance. All he does is just thump. And his thumping sends a boulder running down the Skarloey Railway, terrorizing everything in its path as it decimates the sheds at the quarry. He is never seen again. I don't think he just left. I believe he was frickin' scrapped. The new characters don't get a lot of screen time, as you heard. They're pretty weak. Even the ones we see a lot in the later seasons aren't shown much throughout the season. I think Cranky, the most exposed newbie this season, has dialogue in only 4 episodes and has a leading role in 1.5 episodes. Seasons 6 and 7, as much as I'm not too fond of those seasons, definitely handled their new characters a lot better. Next up is stories. Talking about the characters alone, I've already dove plenty into the bewildering adventures of this season, but a quick overview ought to do the trick. The season's pacing is actually quite nice, though admittedly from time to time the tones do get darker rather quickly out of the blue, but it's never jarring or inappropriate. It's usually handled quite nicely. There are funny slice-of-life episodes, as well as scary-ass episodes that will in fact make you shit your pants, and they all create this story. Prior to Cranky Bugs, the Sodor shipping industry found a massive following at Brindham Docks, and the port there grew and grew. It eventually became the biggest harbor on the island next to Knapford. A new crane was bought for the docks named Cranky. Meanwhile, the Kirk Ronan region of Sodor was gaining traction in business thanks to the cement works on the branch line there. This is a build-up to Fergus's arc in Season 7. More people moved there too, so a big beautiful canopy station was built at the terminus of the branch line there. It had to be reopened for mending after Gordon ran through the wall, leaving a permanent mark. Efforts to reconstruct the unkempt and dilapidated bits of the line to Pilgodred were put into action. The line was said to be haunted, as poor Henry and Stepney found out after they tried navigating their ways through the foggy branch line at night after making some deliveries of construction utilities. Toby and Sir Topham Hatt go exploring at the coastal branch line and find the long-abandoned gold mines from the Mid-Sodor days. Toby then finds one of the old Mid-Sodor engines named Bertram after he'd been left at the gold mine when his railway ran out of money. Speaking of Toby, after Oliver bumps a line of trucks into the turntable well, Sir Topham Hatt puts him in charge of pulling the mail train one night. On his post-run, Oliver is diverted onto Toby's old line from before he was a Fat Controller's engine, and he crashes into Toby's old shed. Oliver is found by Sir Topham Hatt the next morning, and he proposes to reopen this bit of Toby's old line for tourism. Finally, on the Skarloey, the quarry business had risen in funding once again, and the quarry began expansion. New sheds were set up as well as cranes and a stretch of standard gauge tracks to the transfer yard. It is revealed that long ago on the old iron bridge, an engine fell into the swamp below with his crew and drowned. His spirit haunts the bridge. Then a fucking boulder ravages the quarry, causing it to close. Yay! And that's it. As you can tell, I skipped around a lot. There are a lot of filler episodes, but the season is still a really good experience. The more laid-back episodes of the season are given a lot of shit for being either boring or having a messy plot, to which I would have to respectfully disagree with both of these critiques. Stories like Gordon the Gremlin, Ba, and Thomas and the Rumors are basically the weakest of the season, but they still have some damn priceless moments.
What's the matter? Asked James Driver. My sister has rung to tell me she can't come to stay with me.
It's the Season 5 finesse, and you can thank Allcroft for that. Love or hate her, she knew her way with the characters. Finally, the music. Oh my lord. Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell must be praised. With that dumbass Thomas movie 2 years afterward, you get the feeling from hearing the score of the season that the two aim to create more cinematic compositions. Seasons 3 and 4 had super orchestral pieces already, but Season 5? Oh yeah, it's peak Thomas music. I don't have anything to say about the guy's pieces, just listen. Here's Thomas's bouncy Season 1 theme. Versus Thomas's more relaxed Season 5 theme. Percy Season 1? versus Percy Season 5. And the darker, more alarming songs with their intense build-up or no build-up at all. God tier. Just God tier. Our songs for this season are
Far through the night he goes. Hear the sound of the night train, the chugga-chugga of the night train. Hear how his whistle blows. Woo-hoo. Accidents happen now and again, just when you least expect. Just when you think that life is okay, fate comes to collect. Every cloud is silver lined, even when it rains. So don't get too downhearted as things about to change. All you gotta do is wear a smile and you will find your sun will shine. Oh yes, it's great to be an engine and go steaming along. Hop, hop, hopping along. Keeping along. There in the valley, someone you'll know. The little blue train finds his way through the snow. Whistle blowing. Yes, it's snowing. Now everyone calls her Donald's duck, but I call her Macaroon. Quacking here, quacking there, she is quacking everywhere. He's so proud of his edges, each and every one. And though he's strict and meticulous, favorites he has none. Rocking, rocking on the railway, rolling, rolling on the railway, moving, moving down the line, swinging, sway from side to side. They'll be rocking and a rolling. Won't you come for the ride of your life? Harold the helicopter, pride of the skies, first to the rescue, should help be required. Harold the helicopter, brave is he, courage is his name. Seaside, we're off to the seaside. Ice cream cones, candy floss on your nose. Seaside, we're off to the seaside. We're gonna have a lovely day.
In my opinion, the season's honorable mention would be Put Upon Percy. For it's everything. Everything in this episode is so unbelievably Season 5. It has a pretty basic moral in that the episode seems like it'll be a piece of cake. Oh, but don't worry, things turn for the worse. The episode starts with Percy complaining about his ridiculous workload making him filthy. All the engines make fun of him, but Sir Topham Hatt reprimands them and congratulates Percy for his good day's work. The next day, he is sent to work at the dirty coal mines where Percy bumps some trucks into a mine shaft way too hard. The trucks slam into a pillar, dislodging it, making the mine collapse. Percy and his crew puff under a barrier to shelter themselves, but they still get buried alive and die. But they don't. Percy's usefulness shines brightly, and he's given a new coat of paint. How conclusive. From the seemingly straightforward plot and moral to the
On, faster, faster! Oh, help! Wailed Percy.
You can practically taste the Season 5-ness, especially with that Season 5 exclusive extreme modeling with the crubbiness of all things dirty. Season 5 is a sheer spectacle. Here we are, folks. The overview. Let's start by asking, what makes Classic Thomas Classic Thomas? Well, a fuck ton of things, really, but what is the main factor that greatly differentiates the classic series from the rest of the show? It's the world building. Seasons 1 through 3 are very Western-based on the island. 1 is mostly Western mainline-based, going no further from Knapford to Marin. It is also heavily Thomas's branchline focused. 2 expands on the 1 locations, the Big Yard Knapford and the quarry on Thomas's branch line, as well as more stations on the main line, while giving us a few more new ones. We've now reached Edward's branch line, which barely sits in the middle of the southern region of Sodor. His line includes the docks and the clayworks, as well as a few stations. 3 keeps everything the same way, but expands even more to the west, with Duck's coastal branch line. 4 almost covers the whole ass island. We see our western coastal lines, a lot more of the main line pushing east, Thomas's branch line, of course, Edward's branch line is left out, but we reach the eastern coast, which includes the Normanby branch line and Vickerstown. And of course, we have the Skarloey and the Mid-Sodor narrow gauge railways, which are located in the heart of Sodor. 4 was very eastern-based in contrast to the very much western-based previous seasons. 5 is near central Sodor-based. We explore the Peel Godred branch line and have a big station at Kirk Ronan, which is considered the main station of Season 5. And yes, the other guys are prevalent too. In my opinion, world building is what makes a series, of any sort, a damn good series. After every successful season, it's only best that you subtly expand, and show the viewers the show's world. It helps make things super engaging. I'm getting so unbelievably tired of talking about the show I so adore, so here's the ranking, okay? Here's the ranking. There's no bad season of the classic series. I wouldn't even say that there are bad episodes, but there are some seasons littered with weak episodes, and that's kind of how I judge them, unless there are a lot of strong episodes that supersede the weak ones by far.
Warning! My opinion is being shared on a channel that is my own.
Number 5. Season 4. I know, can you fucking believe Season 4 is at the bottom? Well, here's the deal. First half, with the Skarloey and company, absolutely brilliant. Except when they put some episodes in the dumbest order imaginable. Stepney's introduction itself is something I'll never manage to like. His overall arc is pretty cool, except for Rusty to the Rescue. There's plenty wrong with that episode, but it has some splendid visuals. The second half is where I have my problems. The second half kinda sucks, okay? Not bad episodes, but like as a whole, it sucks. Each season follows its own story in its own way to where everything feels complete in a sense. The second half of Season 4 does not feel like this. It's a bunch of random episodes that kinda come out of nowhere. They're not bad episodes, like I said, but they fail to tell a story. Mind That Bike, however, is an atrocious season finale. Here's something that they could have done to actually, like, maybe keep a story season long. They could have put, like, breaks in between the Skarloey books to shove in these nothing Fat Controller's Railway stories, but they throw everything out at once. This was the production team's way of saying, okay, here's everything we didn't fucking get to. I made a playlist that has all the episodes in an order that actually follows the Skarloey story in an appropriate order while taking breathers with the Fat Controller's engines. It also has a plausible finale, link in the description. I also hate the season's editing, especially with the sound effects. You can tell they got pretty lazy in the editing room with how cheap some of the sound deliveries are, and how they fuck up the engine's whistles a lot. Number 4. Season 3. The good episodes this season are, like, really, really good. The meh ones are, like, really just nothing episodes. There are quite a few of those, but it's still a pretty good season overall with its spectacular visuals and music. This was the beginning of the golden era of the show, and it was a grand entrance. The Unlucky Tug says that it was the big season, and right he is. Number 3. Season 1. An almost perfect start to the show. I say almost perfect because the finale sucks. We had this good season-long arc with Thomas and Gordon. It would have been very cool to see the big season's, the season's big finish be Paint Pots and Queens. The Queen comes to Sodor, and Thomas and Gordon stick up for each other and get recognized by Her Majesty. It would have been well-deserved here. Okay, anyway, while certainly having aged with some technical things that were fixed in the later seasons, it still holds well as a grand entrance of the show. The meh episodes in the season aren't meh enough to be considered meh. I think all the episodes this season are pretty enjoyable, even the strange finale they chose. On top of that, there are some brilliant shots in the episodes of the season that just gives me more of a reason to call Season 1 an absolute gem. Number 2. Season 5. This season is quite unrealistic for a well-grounded era, but the crew wrote it all to where it wasn't completely fucking obnoxious. If anything, the season was an intriguing blast. The season kinda sorta foreshadowed the regrettable upcomings of the show, but it was a memorable adventure for all to enjoy and to be grateful for. Thank you, Britt, and thank you, David, for making a very heart-racing and at the same time very heart-warming season. Number 1. Season 2. Sequels are known to suck, but not Season 2 of Thomas and Friends, though. Season 2 brought a lot of things to the show to stay for always and always. Be it Scrap, Diesel's, Thomas and Percy's dynamic, the concept of world building on Sodor, and etc., etc., etc. A bloody cracking season that played with its themes wholeheartedly. There we go, guys. That was the classic series of Thomas the Goddamn Tank Engine and his fucking friends. It was an era that existed, and will likely never exist again. The fandom believes everything the classic series was about, and aspires to make great things just like it to keep the spirit of classic Thomas alive. This was JB, and I'll see you. I don't know.
It's Thomas the Tank Engine, hip 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 hooray. Chugga chugga chug chug chuff chuff chuff, he rides along the way. And when you hear that whistle, it can only be one train. Our favorite little engine, Thomas is his name. Thomas the Tank Engine rolling along. All of his friends will be coming along. Thomas, we love you. He's a really useful engine with a heart that's big and strong. He chugga chugga chuff chuffs, working hard, helping everyone. Thomas, he has lots of friends, and you can be one too. Just clap, 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 and sing along. Thomas, we love you. Thomas the Tank Engine rolling along. All of his friends will be coming along. Thomas, we love you. There's Gordon and Henry, Edward, James and Toby, Patty and Clarabelle. Don't forget Percy, Terrence and Bertie, Hazel, Duck and Daisy. Lots more friends for you. He's always up to mischief, that cheeky little train. He chugga chugga chuff chuffs everywhere. He's always playing games. The fat controller scolds him, but he loves him just the same. Our favorite little